Nominations are now closed for the upcoming provincial election, and we know all the names that will be on the ballots. Good evening, and thank you for joining us. Ontarians are gearing up to head to the polls to decide the next provincial government.
Voting day is February 27th, and one of Thunder Bay's returning officers says they're ready to go. Justin Hardy joins us live in studio with the full candidate list for the region. Justin, how many options will voters have on the ballots?
Haley, 23 candidates are trying to claim our 4 seats. The 2 Thunder Bay area ridings bear the most candidates hoping to claim a seat at Queen's Park, with 6 in Thunder Bay Atikokan and 7 in Thunder Bay Superior North. In Quetnung and Kenora Rainy River, those ridings have 5 candidates. Voting day is fast approaching for the 2025 provincial election. Thunder Bay Superior North returning officer Julio Gomes says all the names that will appear on the ballot are now confirmed along with voting locations.
That information is being processed today. So in the next couple of days, hopefully residents will receive their voter information cards.
The Thunder Bay Atikokan riding has 6 candidates: Eric Arner for the Green Party, incumbent PC Kevin Holland, Casey Jones for the Northern Ontario Party, Stephen Marguerite with the Liberal Party, Judith Monteith-Farrell for the NDP, and Martin Templeman of the New Blue Party. The Thunder Bay Superior North riding will see Daniel K. Campbell of the Northern Ontario Party, Progressive Conservative Rick Dumas, Liberal Brian Hamilton, Independent candidate Steve Hansen, John Northey for the Green Party, and New Blue Catherine Sutari, all vying for the seat held by NDP incumbent Lise Vaugeois. Gomes says now that nominations are closed, returning offices are planning for the early voting days.
We will have 3 days of advance voting, and that'll be next Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, February 20th to 22nd, at a variety of locations in the city and across the district. And those polls will be open 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. And of course, you can vote at any location as long as it's within your electoral district.
In Kenora Rainy River, the candidates are Anthony Leake for the Liberals, the Green Party's John Reddins, New Blue Randy Ricci, incumbent Greg Rickford of the PC Party, and Rudy Turtle on behalf of the NDP. The Quetnung riding has 5 candidates: Teresa Lepich of the Northern Ontario Party, incumbent NDP member Saul Mamakwa, Manuela Micalizi for the Liberals, Progressive Conservative Waylon Scott, and the Green Party's Carolyn Spicer. Gomes says that there is an option to vote at each returning office for those that need another option.
So if you can't make it to the advance vote, or you can't make it on polling day, which is February 27th, you can still come to the returning office and cast a ballot. The special ballot offices are open 10 a.m. to 8 p.m., Monday to Saturday, noon till 5 on Sunday.
More information about your riding, including the best place for you to vote, can be found at elections.on.ca. Justin Hardy, TBT News.
Opposition leaders are calling for an investigation into what they believe is an ethics violation by the Progressive Conservatives.
They say a campaign-style video that was released featuring images of Doug Ford's visit to Washington, which he undertook as premier, not an election candidate, is against the rules. CTV's Siobhan Morris explains.
Doug Ford's mid-election trip to Washington, D.C., representing Ontario in the tariff fight,
we had a very constructive conversation,
is creating controversy on the campaign trail.
let's be unapologetic.
It's over this highlight reel posted to social media and what comes at the end. That's the Progressive Conservative logo and their election slogan, Protect Ontario.
Doug Ford plays fast and loose with the rules.
The Integrity Commissioner's office cleared Ford's trip as long as it wasn't used for partisan gain. They won't say if they believe ethics rules were broken, but after a few hours, the video was replaced with a version without the party stamp.
If that isn't a sure sign of guilt, I don't know what is, you know?
A Ford campaign spokesperson says footage of the premier being the premier is routinely used in political social content, but the video was reposted without branding out of an abundance of caution. The NDP wants Elections Ontario and the ethics watchdog to investigate.
It has never been more clear that Doug Ford will do anything and everything it takes to hold on to power for power's sake.
Marit Stiles in Sudbury stressing a commitment to the north.
We need a government that actually takes the safety of northern highways seriously.
Further south, Bonnie Crombie was outside Barrie, spotlighting the more than 200 communities without any family doctors.
My wife and I we go to the Midland Hospital in the emergency section.
Crombie thinks this election offers a choice.
So you can have a family doctor or a fantasy tunnel. You can end hallway health care, or you could have a mega spa.
The Green leader speaking out against a signature PC promise from the last election.
Highway 413 is an environmental and financial disaster.
Mike Schreiner says allowing a highway to cut through valuable greenbelt and farming land is a mistake.
Threatening our $50 billion food and farming economy and our food security at a time when we're facing tariff threats.
That was CTV's Siobhan Morris reporting. Tonight, we continue our look at the candidates running in Thunder Bay Atikokan. Judith Monteith-Farrell is hoping to pull off a political comeback and reclaim the riding for the Ontario NDP. Jonathan Wilson brings us this candidate profile.
Judith Monteith-Farrell was elected MPP for Thunder Bay Atikokan in June of 2018, beating out longtime Liberal Bill Morrow by just 81 votes. 4 years later, the riding changed colors again, as Monteith-Farrell was defeated by PC candidate Kevin Holland by around 900 votes. Now she's back again, representing the NDP in another provincial election. Monteith-Farrell says watching the Ford government's actions over the past 2.5 years was all it took to convince her to run again.
How could I not run? Really, we have a time of crisis and we need people with experience to be at Queen's Park to deal with it. We also need a government that's compassionate and not a government that is like wasting money on silly things like spas in Toronto. So maybe I was mad as hell and didn't want to take it anymore, but I'm back.
Monteith-Farrell says there are many reasons why she's aiming to win the riding back for the NDP, including healthcare, the addictions crisis, and affordable living for people across the Thunder Bay Atikokan riding.
My main priority is to ensure, A, that the voices of the people in Northwestern Ontario are heard on the things that are important to us, like our health care, our roads. And I'm also really wanting to make sure that we are compassionate in a time when things can get really rough.
Monteith-Farrell says her previous track record at Queen's Park and her diligence in standing up for her constituents are what make her the best choice to represent Thunder Bay Atikokan. And she says there's one other thing that sets her apart from her opponents in this race.
Well, first thing is I'm the only woman running, but the second thing, that's obvious, but the second thing is that I have the most experience. Like I was there for 4 years during a crisis in our province, and I believe I can take that experience that I had in that time of crisis and carry it forward to now.
Jonathan Wilson, TBT News.
Tomorrow we'll hear from Eric Arner, the Green Party candidate in Thunder Bay Atikokan.
As the saying goes, every vote counts in an election.
That's why Norwest Community Health Centers is stepping up to support those who don't have a permanent address and therefore don't meet the voting requirements. Norwest officials will vouch for them and ensure their voices are heard. Riley Cohen reports.
To vote, you must be at least 18 years old, a Canadian citizen, and a resident of Ontario. But that's not all. You'll also need a valid form of identification to cast your ballot. That's where Norwest comes in. Nicole Fiduna, manager for the Safer Supply program, has been assisting in leading this initiative.
We're inviting community members to come and learn about the election process, have the opportunity to vote, and then we also can provide attestations for people. So if someone doesn't have a fixed address and if they don't have ID, we here as an organization can help people get IDs, and then we can also create attestations, which is a form that you then submit when you're going to vote, and you vouch that we know who you are.
Anyone who participates in 5 or more activities, care bus rides, or sessions at support centers like Norwest will be eligible for these attestations. Fiduna notes that her patients are especially excited about this opportunity as it gives them a sense of being heard and truly belonging to the community.
I get so excited when I hear my clients talking about the upcoming election, and I have. So I think it's just really exciting to see people feel excited and empowered already, especially when we're so early. We don't have people's platforms quite yet. We've been working closely with the shelters in the community and getting resources together to truly understand what our vulnerable houseless population really want to hear from their candidates.
Norwest officials have planned every detail as they're also hosting events throughout the month to educate the city's vulnerable population. To further support accessibility, transportation will be provided on Election Day, with care bus hours extended from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. to help people reach voting stations. Additionally, Norwest's other vehicles will be available to offer extra assistance. Riley Cohen, TBT News.
A 20-year-old man has been charged with impaired driving after allegedly hitting a marked police cruiser in an intersection last night. It happened just before 8:30. Police say the cruiser was traveling south on Balmoral Street with a green light when the accused driver's vehicle turned into its path from Oliver Road. Both vehicles were damaged, but there were no injuries.
A transport truck that's been submerged in Reflection Lake near Beardmore for over a month has finally been removed from the frozen waters. The contractor needed to use 2 large cranes to raise the big rig back to the surface. Highway 11 has been reduced to 1 lane of alternating traffic over the past few days while the work was carried out. This afternoon, the cranes managed to lift the tractor and trailer out of the ice at the same time. Eyewitnesses say the whole process took only about 10 to 15 minutes. The waterlogged transport was loaded onto a pair of flatbeds to be carried away. The price tag for the operation is estimated to be about $2 million.
Evacuees from Kashechewan First Nation have started returning home after spending nearly 2 months in Thunder Bay. The evacuation was ordered after the community's water treatment plant broke down. Plane loads of evacuees began arriving from the James Bay coast in late December. At the peak, about 200 people were staying in local hotels. That number was down to 108 as of this week. The repairs to the plant are now complete and the water quality has been confirmed safe, so the community's chief has lifted the boil water advisory. 2 flights were scheduled for today and a final flight is planned for tomorrow or Saturday. However, 20 people will stay in Thunder Bay for now as their homes in Kashechewan still aren't livable due to frozen pipes.
Some of Canada's top female curlers visited a few local elementary schools today, 1 day before the Scotties Tournament of Hearts begins.
Members of Team Ontario and Team Newfoundland were at Norwesterview School, giving the students a chance to learn more about their sport. Jaden Billick was there.
Some of the best curlers in Canada made a special stop at Norwesterview Public School to provide the kids with a lesson in curling. Team Ontario skip Danielle Inglis and Team Newfoundland skip Brooke Godsland say they hope this day helps spark a love for the sport in the next generation.
Oh, love seeing the excitement and the enthusiasm of the young kids. It gets us excited. No, they're going to be in the audience for our game on Tuesday, and just that kind of excitement really feeds into the whole spirit of the event. So just love seeing it.
A lot of us have started from age 4 to age 14. You can start whenever. It's a really great sport for that. You don't have to start when you're little. So we like to emphasize that you can start whenever and you can go at any level of curling that it will take you.
A brief introduction from the Scotties teams was followed by some curling trivia, and the skips were surprised to hear how much the students already know about the sport. The students then put down their team banners and went through a quick warm-up routine to get ready for their own curling showdown.
Are you going to go see the Scotties on Tuesday?
I don't know yet.
Not sure? Do you hope to go see?
Yes. I'm going with the curling club. I'm going with the school. I was going to go with the curling club, but I changed my mind.
Do you guys think you'll keep curling for the rest of your lives?
Yes, maybe. I'm deciding.
The teachers were surprised with their own chance to team up with these athletes and feel the true pressure of a gym full of hyped students. And after a hefty battle leading to a nail-biting finish, it was Team Ontario that took home the day's big win.
Yeah, there's been a lot of energy in the classroom. They're super excited. We made signs to welcome the athletes. We know some of them are far from home. Team Newfoundland's far from home. So the kids were really excited just to meet them and to show them their signs and welcome them to our city and to our home.
Jaden Billick, TBT News.
Well, great to see the kids enjoying the sport of curling. A lot of excitement is building in the city now and on the eve of the Scotties. Can't wait. All right, well, let's turn our attention to the weather now. Fiona, it's another cold one out there today, and I understand it was even colder to the west of us.
Yes, they saw extreme cold conditions with wind chills dipping to -40. The good news was that's about as cold as it got. And what I mean by that is that the winds weren't making the wind chills feel any colder, because that's actually pretty close to what the temperatures were. There wasn't a lot of wind chill. So a low of minus 39 and a wind chill of minus 40, that's something to celebrate, I guess. Today here in the city of Thunder Bay, we had a low of minus 24 in the early morning hours and wind chills of minus 33. We warmed up to minus 13 and a wind chill of minus 20. So really not a whole lot different from yesterday, except that we had a lot of sunshine. Winds were from the northwest, 15 to 37 kilometers per hour. If we take a look at what's going on across the region at this hour, temperature is pretty consistent to the west, minus 19 in Dryden and Armstrong, minus 20 almost everywhere else, minus 22 in Kenora. So very, very cold, just a few clouds, and at least the wind chill at this hour is not as extreme as it could be. The wind chill is only making it feel maybe 3 degrees cooler than these numbers would suggest, so I guess that's an improvement. Into Greenstone, they've had clear skies throughout the day. It was not as cold last night. It was actually somewhat milder. They were milder than even Thunder Bay, with wind chills around minus 30. At this hour, though, wind chills are kind of balancing it out. Although the temperatures are at minus 17, the wind chill is at minus 24, so it actually feels colder to the north of the lake than it does to the west by a very minor amount. As we head along the eastern shores of Lake Superior, we hit minus 11 in Wawa, minus 8 in Sault Ste. Marie. They had a very cold night last night as well, with wind chills of minus 25. At this time, they've got some light snow that moved in just in the last 3 hours or so, and wind chills are currently sitting around minus 18. So that is very brisk in that portion of the region. Tonight, we will drop down to minus 25, so it's going to be another very cold one, but again, slight improvement because the wind chills won't be as extreme as they have been. We're looking to feel closer to minus 30, and we will see a little bit of increasing clouds, becoming partly cloudy overnight, with winds starting out at 40 km and then diminishing overnight. Now, that is actually, guys, going to set the stage for a slightly milder Friday night, but it also comes with a little bit of snow. And at this time of year, a little bit of snow is actually a good thing if you're not liking the extreme cold. So, Ryan, I'm going to have to tell you, pick your poison.
I just want seasonal temperatures or slightly above seasonal. That's all I'm asking for.
You're not going to see that.
A little milder.
But it will be milder.
All right.
And a little bit more snowy.
I'll have to take it.
Yeah.
Well,
thanks, Fiona.
We will take a little bit milder because in national news, it's cold comments from U.S. President Donald Trump in regards to the sovereignty of Canada. And he also detailed what he's calling reciprocal tariffs. We'll have details on that ahead.
Canada is going to be a very serious contender to be our 51st state.